and I see Leo, and I see Virgil, and we are good to go. And there are 4 viewers. It is kind of, for me, the end of summer. Kids are going back to school now. It's still hot. Last night, I worked all day on this secret project. I'm already on book 2 of it, and book 1 just entered audio production. And the lead magnet is done, and that's an audio production. So my personal assistant who works with me should be getting ready the lead magnet. And as soon as I get I'm going to talk about a little bit about that tonight, about how to launch a book, because that actually came up, I think Friday night when I was gaming on the stream. And I said, I've been working really hard and I've got to launch. I got to get ready to launch this book. And, some people don't really truly understand what that means. The stuff that you have to do to get into it. I mean, you can just go ahead and click launch on Amazon and just throw it out there in the wind like a little defenseless kitten surrounded by wolves. But I will try to, what I do on this stream all the time is just basically tell you how I do things. And Leo, thank you so much. I'm going to use that on coffee and tacos. I'm also going to use that on a legal bill I acquired this week because I had a grifter come after my channel and claim that my website and claim that I was stealing intellectual property. And it was really shady. I'll talk a little bit about that too. But I have an IP lawyer. And what I found when you publish books and you get famous and whatever that is, that you get hit by all kinds of grifters and you have to hire lawyers. And guess what? The lawyers don't defend you for free. So, hey, Leo, thank you for checking on that. And thank you for the coffee and the tacos and world peace. $50 sub to donation to the channel. That is much, much appreciated. I have got a lot going on right now while I get these books up and running. So every little bit really helps right now. But I wanted to talk a little bit about tonight about how to get a book launched, and we'll get into that in a moment. But a lot of interesting things going on. Last night I worked so hard yesterday on doing some road marching, which I think is part of your writing. You've got to move. You cannot sit here in this 100-degree garage writing day after day after day. You've got to move around. You got to exercise. You don't want to write yourself sick. That's a big thing as a writer. You don't want to write yourself sick. So about 6:00 yesterday evening, I decided I was going to go down to the beach and get in the water. And it was a perfectly lovely, foggy, cold, nice, beautiful, misty, sunsetty evening. And that was really, really nice. And just, great to just stand there and have a good time. The Medusa and I had a wonderful time. And that, too, is part of life. Leo says, legal bills, grifter, get an address. Ranger Rick and I can remove the threat. No evidence. I was getting a little close to that. I'll kind of hip what that sort of scam was. I get hit with a lot of scams. Sometimes I get hit with some legitimate things. I actually had a major rap producer basically write me a letter on Strange Company saying that he owned the name Strange because I have the trademark for Strange Company. And he felt that he had the trademark on the word strange, which he didn't. And anyways, he felt that I was encroaching on his business. I kind of blew him off. And then it turned out he's a pretty heavy hitter and has a lot of money and has a pretty big legal team. And his lawyers and my lawyers started interacting. And long story short, I think that cost me about $7,000 to resolve a legitimate sort of border dispute on trademark. Fun stuff. Just there you go, lawyers. There's $7,000 for writing a book. But this one was a scam that I've come to find out is quite common. And so what they do is they look at your website, and if you put up any images, so I had an image of Jeff Bezos up on my website because I wrote a blog post a few years back ago about what happened to me at HarperCollins. And I used Jeff's picture, And so they basically, what my lawyer said is they go out and they file um, copyright notices on these pictures that are on the internet, and then they basically go after people and try to get money out of them, especially if they think that they have money, are successful. So someone looked at my website, and it was a legit law firm and everything like that, but they're basically shakedown artists. They're the skeevy end of lawyering, if that can be if there can actually be a skeevy end. But I have a wonderful lawyer, a wonderful IP lawyer. And basically he remonstrated me the first off. He's like, don't ever talk to these people. And he wrote them a wonderful 10-page thing. And he's like, they're con artists. They'll go away. And sure enough, they were con artists and went away. But their emails were really aggressive. And I thought like, well, after the Strange Company thing, I thought, well, is this just another thing? And they like, I mean, looking back on it, the whole thing was a grift. They wanted me to make payments and stuff like that for using this stuff and blah, blah, blah. But it just goes to show you there are a ton of grifters, even in the writing business, that go after you. And that's really sad. That's not good. So that's what I'm doing right now. What do you do? What do you average per book, sir? Payout, I mean. I'm not sure what question you're asking. Are you asking how much money I make, or how much money I invest in my books, or what my expenses are? Clarify a little bit, Jay Canada. I probably won't say over open, I'm probably not going to tell you how much money I make on books, because that seems to invite people grifting on me, or whatever. But I would say this. That you spend. Oh, how much do I spend on a book to get a book up and running? Well, let's start with the first book that I got up and running, which is a little book I like to call The Old Man in the Wasteland. Leo, thank you so much for the subscriptions. Let me run over to the Amazon page. Oh no, I have to type without looking at the keys. Old Man in the Wasteland. It's funny how my fingers just know how to type Old Man in the Wasteland. Okay, let's go ahead and share this screen, because Sergeant Joe, it's the way that you have to do it. It's not what you do, it's how that you do it. Share screen. Okay. What we're going to look at here is The Old Man and the Wasteland. This was the first book that I wrote on Amazon. So the interesting thing is, let's look and see if we can look at something real quick. The paperback is gone. There were my paperback is up now. So way back in the oldie days of 2011, I already had a literary New York agent who was trying to sell a Hollywood book that I wrote, which eventually became The Old Man and the Wasteland. Which became Fight the Rooster. And while I was waiting for him to sell that, and spoiler, he never sold it, I saw that self-publishing was exploding, and self-publishing was kind of a dirty word. But I saw that self-publishing was exploding. And this Amazon thing was kind of hot and new. And so I said, I got this manuscript that I wrote that's basically like Fallout meets The Old Man and the Sea. And there's a long story to that. But I took it to my agent, and he's like, no, this is too much like The Road, and I hate The Road, and I don't want to, represent it. So remember that point. He said he didn't want to represent it. So I sat down and I started trying to learn everything I could about publishing. And there's a guy, and I'm still friends with him on X, and his name was J.A. Conrath. Sometimes he would go by J.K. Conrath. And he wrote a series of detective novels for Trade Pub, and he bought them back, and he put up on Amazon when he got hot. And he was one of the first kind of early gurus on the whole Amazon indie publishing movement. And I just read all his blog posts and I read all the comments from everybody because he was really drawing a lot of people who were, basically beginning to understand this thing that we call Amazon Kindle, self-publishing, indie publishing, all that kind of stuff. And I have to tell you, like, it was really wild then. Like the whole game has changed several times over. So from what I learned from everybody in reading those blogs is I needed a formatter. I needed a cover artist. No one actually said I needed an editor. And I didn't hire an editor. I did it all myself, and for better or for worse. But the first book that I published, The Old Man in the Wasteland, I quoted some Hemingway. So I had to do a deal with the Hemingway estate for some quote usage that I really don't think, looking back on it, I needed to. I think I had fair usage. But I paid them some money, and I think that money was like maybe about $500. The Medusa's sitting here. You know what? Because the Medusa paid for all of it because she was our primary income earner at the time. I was just her driver because she was an adult entertainer at that time. She sang opera professionally for adults. Is that an adult entertainer?
I guess.
It sounds seedy if I say it that way, right? No, the Medusa was singing opera professionally. And I was her driver, and I was writing, and she believed in it wonderfully. She was not an adult entertainer. But I always like to objectify my wife. So we got it published. So she remembers the money. I think I credit carded all of it. And it was like $500 for that. And then the cover artist, I remember specifically, was $700. And the dude disappeared on me. I eventually got a cover out of him, and I guess it worked. Like, let's do this. I still have that cover. Let's go back to the camera, Sergeant Joe. People who don't know me right now are probably like, "Oh, man, Nick is weird." Okay, hold on real quick. I'm gonna get the original cover, which I have over here somewhere.
You need the light? Why don't I get it upstairs?
No, it's right here. Yeah, it was right here. Oh, you know what? Maybe I did it. Maybe I said, this is not great. Never mind.
I'll look upstairs.
It's not upstairs. Because remember, I hid all my books.
Oh, in which one? Okay.
Yeah. I only have 5 copies left of the original cover because, so anyways, you would see a wackily different cover. And I paid this guy $700 and he boogied, and then he finally came back. And good evening, Red Jack. Good evening, John T. Doe. Good evening, everybody jumping in. And I got the cover up, and it was very like artsy fartsy, but in hindsight, it worked, for whatever that's worth. But that would come later. So I paid him for that. And then the formatter was really expensive. I remember. I think like the formatter was like $400. So let's go with 500 plus 700 is 1,200, 400. So it was about $1,600 in 2011 to publish my first book, J Canada. And then, long story short, it sold 2 copies the first month, 8 copies the second month, and by the 4th month, it was selling 15,000 copies a month. Then HarperCollins came and bought it. Then they commissioned me to do 2 sequels, which I did. Then they commissioned me to do a new Space Marine novel called Soda Pop Soldier. Then they want a prequel to that. They were greatly offended by what I wrote in the prequel, and they told me to change it or I was fired. And I told them to pound sand, and that was that. Then they tried to put out a disinformation campaign and say that no one was really buying me, even though they'd signed 3 separate contracts with me. I'd gotten a Published Weekly starred review. I'd appeared at San Diego Comic-Con. I'd sold them a lot of books, but they're liars. Yes, Leo, my garage is a hardcore gym garage. I do burn it down in here. Look at these guns. Look at these guns. These guns are okay. I don't think that does it. The black and white doesn't do the justice. But it's getting big. It's getting big. So yeah, I have a bench. I have a captain's chair. I have like a ton of dumbbells. I've got like so much gear in here. It's crazy. And you can do it. You can get it done. I follow Athlean X a lot. I'll do his workout programs. I highly recommend that every writer, if you're going to write professionally, and if you're going to write professionally, train like a professional writer by making working out a really, really, really big part of your life. Okay, so progressing on J Canada, 3K. So that was back in 2011. I wanted to give you that, like that's where it started. Okay, so I could give you like the middle, like, I mean, generally my relationship with Jason, like we had a certain amount of money that we pumped into books, but like also we did our own audio books for Forgotten Rune. We had to pay for those. That would take the price up anywhere between $8,000 to $12,000, but that's the audio copy. And we wanted to own those. So we did that. But let's just move to like my current new secret project, which I think you read, J Canada, and that'll be releasing probably in the next month or two.
I found your cover, by the way. I texted it to you and I emailed it to you.
Oh, and you emailed it to me. The Medusa has found the cover.
Or is there a better way?
No, I got
just hold it up to the camera on my iPad.
No. Yeah, come over here and hold it to the camera on the iPad. I got two. The Medusa found the cover, the old cover. I have 5 copies left. True story. Someone once bought a copy off me for $500.
Oh,
Wait,
it'll
kind of. I mean,
That's
you get the gist, but
yeah.
you can't really see it very well.
It doesn't look anything like the new cover.
Yeah, you can't see like the words, the titling words.
Yeah. So it was cool. Everybody says Ola.
Hola.
Ola, Sparky.
Hola, Sparky and everyone.
So if we jump forward to Mysterion, the Mysterion cover, which I would love to show you, but I cannot, it's baller. It's not the one that you got for the beta read download. That was something that Walt made up for us. I think that's cool. It looks very punk rock, 1980s D&D. This is a cover done by the cover artist I've probably worked with the longest, and who is the best dude in the entire world, which is MS Corley, Mike Corley. He does a lot. He actually is part of Wargate. I believe he owns a part of it now. And he has been with me since way back in the day when Hugh Howey and I worked together briefly. And one of the great benefits of that relationship was that I found Mike. Mike, I think, is a wonderful guy. He is a very talented artist. Mike works for Trade Pub. And his covers, like, you've routinely seen them in bookstores. John Tito, I felt like I was going to read Dragon Slayer. Sparky's currently knee deep in the book. And that's saying something, because I know, Sparky, you're a Space Marine guy. So I'm glad you are really, really digging this. And thank you for shilling the crap out of it.
CJ Canada asked, so is 3,000?
Yeah, I'm responding to that. Yeah, 3,000. So I'm just telling you, my latest project, the cover was $1,500 to start with, and I was getting a deal on that because that's me and Mike's relationship. If I was somebody else, I would probably pay more. Like, Mike would make me pay more because Mike when he's not working for Wargate, he's generally working for like HarperCollins, Simon and Schuster, and stuff like that. So that's, I buy, just so you know, I buy expensive covers, and Jason has strokes over those. When I worked with Jason, like, I think he was very unhappy with how much money I would spend on covers. I think it works. Jason has a different, more sensible approach, and that works for Jason. If you look at the Strange Company covers, the first one costs $3,000, the second one costs $3,000, and the third one, which I think is actually the best, which was done by Coffee and Perspectives, that one cost $1,800. And I think the third book is probably the most iconic thing. So now remember, Jay Ken, I am answering your question. So on my current book, just starting off, and remember, I'm a bigger author. I'm Cadillac. You don't need to pay this for your books. but just to let you know how much money it costs me to publish a book. That book is 221,000 words. That book is the size of 2 books or 3 books. Okay. So that is, and Sparky says you're leaning in hard into sci-fi right now. So many covers are generic looking. The new Dragonlance book, War of the Wizard, has a pretty decent cover, and it stands out. Listen, cover is 90% of buy decision. And when you're talking about cover, that's the most important money that you're going to spend. Question from Leo: is it a good idea to invest well on cover art? I think I just answered that. Yes. And we can talk, like, if you have a cover that you're going to do, I will point you towards the people that I think are the best. I know people who are out there on Fiverr, and I know people who are out there on Etsy and, whatever service. I'm just telling you, like, people don't read your novel and then buy your novel. They look at your cover and then they buy your novel. So that cover is the most important money you're going to spend. And I'm sorry, you get what you pay for. So let's just jump back real quick. And stop screen. And then let's share screen. And then let's go to the Old Man in the Wasteland. So share. Okay. So let's look at this cover. This is a Mike Corley special. It doesn't look like much because I told him I didn't want it to look like much because it's post-apocalyptic. And I actually gave him a sketch that Picasso did of Don Quixote, which is a favorite piece of art of mine. And I wanted it to look like this. It is an artsy-fartsy novel. But let's go over here and look at other Nick Cole covers, okay? This Mercenaries of Atlantis cover is baller. If you like the sword and sorcery stuff, people are definitely liking this. I will be fair and honest. I produced it. I outlined it. It is my concept. I did not write it, but Chris Porto is an excellent writer, and this was very much my version of The Black Company meets Atlantis. That cover right there is going to cost you about $1,500 to $1,800. So that's a nice cover. If we go back over here to more Nick Cole novels, the Forgotten Ruin cover is great. These were done by a Blizzard artist named Trent Kanoga. He is a good friend of mine. I think it's funny. This was his throwaway sketch. And I think that is all time the best, hands down, GE cover ever. That is absolutely awesome. I'm not going to get a tattoo, but if I were going to get a tattoo, I would get a tattoo of this. I love Tyrus Rex. I could write 57 Tyrus Rex novels. I just love this cover. It is a little arty. It's not the super realistic stuff, but I think it works for me. We could get into the Galaxy's Edge covers, but I just want to jump in because I think Strange Company is the gold standard for covers. This cover here was done by Pascal Blanche, and he worked for Dune. He was a concept artist on Dune. I took this picture. It was an actual Marine who beat a guy to death in the GWAT with his helmet. You can look that up. I used his likeness. I hope he doesn't sue me, but he completely embodied a warrior, and I just thought that was awesome. Pascal designed the ship. The second cover was done by Trent Kanoga. I think it's typically good Trent work. It's a good second. That's supposed to be Stink Eye. I like it. It's not my all-time favorite cover, but it's good. This cover right here, this is the all-time greatest Space Marine cover ever. I cannot tell you how much detail there is in this cover. Like this, the mags have the Strange Company Reaper logo on it. Look up here. The pauldrons have the Strange Company Reaper logo on it. Just so you know, this is the artist's signature up here. He signed that there. I wanted a NASA astronaut as a Space Marine. Let me tell you this. See this lanyard right here? That's an airframe attachment. This guy is such a gear hound. Coffee and Perspectives is such a gear hound. He got this piece of kit absolutely right. When you're going to get on a helicopter and you're, special operator, or you're going to get on a little bird or anything like that, you have to have this airframe leash. And what he got right about is he didn't make it just a leash. He made the plastic static, the plastic thing that prevents static connection, which could blow up the helicopter when you get in, to have this. Like, this guy knows his details so well. And of course, Hot Soup, forever in our hearts. That cover cost me $1,800. I feel that it's beyond worth it. Like, that cover there have been covers I've bought that no one ever saw the light of day of. That cover, I got my money for it. And I always work with Mark Lee, who does Coffee and Perspectives now. He's doing a new series that I have. He's probably going to do some other concept stuff that I need for my Amazon webpage for the new secret project. I know I'm vague talking here a lot, but I say all that just to say, I think that cover is everything. So you are going to spend a lot of money on art. I think $500 is the minimum. But again, like, we'll do a show one night just talking about art, because it is one of the most dangerous traps that you can fall into as a writer. You can easily be abused by artists. They're not going to read your book and come up with a concept. You need to come up with a concept from marketing and make sure that your vision is implemented. And you have to work with that artist every step of the way. And there are artists that will abuse that, and there are artists that are really good with that. So I just would say we need to do a full show on that. I'm answering Jake Canada, as I call him. Now his wife calls him. Hey, Tom KP, $20. Thank you for supporting the chat. You may have already answered this, but do you go in already knowing the artist you want to work with, like the style you're going for? I have a roster of people that I work with. As I develop the project, I am thinking about the image that we're going to use, even as I write. And then if an artist I know can hit that, then that's who I'm going to hire. It's funny, like, I think I showed Coffee and Perspectives to Jason, and Jason said, "Oh, I don't like this sketchy stuff. It doesn't work." And the thing about Coffee and Perspectives is he wasn't showing his like actual artwork he was doing for novels. He was just showing his game design stuff, and game design stuff doesn't work for art for a book. And I had to actually dig around and like, do you actually do novels? And I found his page. I was like, okay, you do, because it's a different style of art and everything like that. But it's one of, like I said, I really cannot stress how important art is going to be, and how much you need to get out of the way of yourself, but you also need to manage it and run. I got to do a whole show on it. There's a lot to it, and it's really dangerous. But this is what is going to get readers to read your book. This piece of art, and it just needs to be baller. So anywhere from $500 to $3,000. Now, if you're just starting out and you don't have an audience or anything like that, don't spend $3,000. Between Walt and I and some other people on here, we can recommend some good artists. And, just be prepared that you might have to hire a couple of artists, because you've got to get what your book is trying to convey. You can't get, and you got to keep it simple. Like, sure, I could have told this guy, oh, there's a big Dark Star and there's Terminators and all this kind of, like, you can't clutter the image. The reader has to go, okay, that's a pretty cool Space Marine. What's this about? They read the description. They look at the reviews. They go, oh, okay, I'm down. I want to do that. Steel Bubba, Legionnaire pulled you in. Again, Strange Company is the same version of the Legionnaire cover. It's a single guy. You immediately grok his vibe of what the book is, and now the book needs to deliver that image. And that's another thing you can't do. You can't get a cool image that has nothing to do with the book. So we could be anywhere in a modern book spend from $500 to $3,000. Most of you just stay around 5 to 8. You're good there. You don't need to get carried away. If you really start to bang it and you got a good audience, you got about like 4,000 to 10,000 people on your email list, now you can start spending some big money. Okay. Next expense in Mysterion was the editing. That is a 221,000 page book. That is the size of 2 books as written by some people. Words. Yeah, pages. That is 221,000 words. That is 3 books by some people's definition. 2 books. Like, so literally, I'm going to sell this book for $3.99. So you are literally getting 3 books for $3.99 because it's the first book. I want to go in hard and I want to overserve and I want to offer. Okay, how much did it cost to edit that? Well, I have the world's greatest editor and I'm not telling you his name because I don't want you to go bug him because he already gets bugged by people enough. And then it's hard for him to edit my stuff. So I'm sorry. Go find another editor, and I can recommend some other editors. But my editor is kind of a legend in the business, and he's a really awesome guy, and he works really, really well with me. He works so well with me that we have 2 rates. Rate 1 is I pay what everybody else pays, but I get it done in front of everybody else. Rate 2 is he gives me a deal. I shouldn't even say that out loud. Forget it. I'm just going to say, it's not frozen. I just don't want people who might follow me, who might use him to get butt hurt and for him to get in trouble. So I got to do a quick bit of math. How much is 221,000 times 5 cents? So 5 cents a word is generally what you're going to pay for a good editor and edit. Some people do 2.5, whatever, but remember you're going to cost analysis here. But
is that 221,000 times 5 cents, I think?
Yeah.
It says 11,000.
Yeah, that's about right. So the cost of my book at standard editing prices is $11,000 for 221,000 words. So that's a big investment. That was a big hit for me last month. Just here you go. I haven't sold a dime on this book. Here you go. But again, you're going to write an 80,000 word book. You're probably not going to write above 120,000 words. I would tell you the inside baller baseball secret, that if you write a book that's 150,000 words and it gets turned into an audio book, that Audible's metrics tell you that you get triple credit listens when a book is over 150,000 words, meaning 3 times as many people buy books that are over 150 because they want more bang for their buck, as opposed to somebody who's cranking out a 50 to 70,000 word book. Question from Eldridge Fan. Out of curiosity, did you meet Stephen Lang when he read Savage Wars, or did you just send him the books? If you met him, what he's like? Okay, I'll tell the Stephen Lang story. So I pay my formatter $1,000 a book, basically to help me launch it and everything like that, and help me get it going. And he does a lot of other stuff for me. So it's more like a personal assistant almost, but he's more than that. He's my very good friend and my best friend. And he is my writing partner in a new thing. And he's a delightful person I absolutely do not deserve. And so he gives me a deal, and occasionally he even loans me money. But we have a good time. And sometimes I've loaned him a little money. I think my money is his money and his money is my money. That's what we're just getting through stuff. Boy, I'm outing everybody tonight and I shouldn't. So what are we looking at there? Well, we're looking at about 10,000 in editing, and we're looking at about 2,000 in cover costs, and adding in the 1,000. This is like for about 3 books, which is where I'm at now when I'm writing these big books. You're almost looking at you're getting pretty close to about $13,000. And again, it's hard for me to come in and say what you're going to do with your first book, because you're going to do it smaller. Here's what I would say. You're going to pay $500 for a cover. You're going to pay $1,500 for an editor. You're going to pay $400 to $200. Let's say $200 for formatting. And then that's the basic launch right there. That's not doing any marketing. That's not buying any author copies that you can sell, that you have to like maybe pony up and put down. Like, where I'm probably going to go with Mysterion is I'm going to do print runs of special editions. And that's probably going to cost me like $2,000 to $5,000. And I'll actually get the books, and they'll be leather bound, and they'll have like gold foil and red foil, and they'll look really cool. And then I'll sign them with a gold pen, and then I'll sell them for a higher dollar amount, and I'll make my money back. But initially I will have to pony that money up initially. But just to get the book up and running and launched, yes, Jay Canada, about $3,000. So you answered that question 20 minutes ago, and it took me this long to just show you everything. But the longer you go on, and again, here's just the thing that I would say to you. I am a horrible businessman. I am a very good artist, for whatever that's worth. There are days that I wish I was a better business person. But I like to do things Cadillac. I like to write the best book that I can, and I want it to be presented in the best fashion, with the best art, with the best format. I want to do everything the best. Okay, great. You're cool, Nick. Well, that costs more money. Most of my peers in independent publishing and micro publishing, they prefer cost benefit analysis. And they will, Tom KP, I am putting you down for a leather-bound copy right now. Actually, hopefully I'll be able to offer those soon as a link and everything like that. $3,000 invested in yourself, Jay Canada, is 100% worth it. And I think if you remember, I was talking on Strange Company, Control Alt Revolt. I was talking about don't put your investment money in the machine that's trying to take away your rights and your livelihood, and is preventing your kids from, all of our kids from going to college and owning a home, and instead being debt slaves. Take that money and invest it in yourself. Take that money and invest it in writing a book, fixing up used cars, painting houses, and everything like that. Use your investment money that you'd be giving to 401ks to bet on yourself to make some money. That is another conversation. That is more Nick Cole over at Control Alt Revolt, the Substack, which you can go over there and subscribe if you want to. And if you can't afford it, I will give you a free subscription. But that is spicier, Nick. That's not necessarily politics, Nick, but it's not happy with the way things are going, Nick. And I think we all, on whatever side we are, we've got some grievances with what's going on. But that's not the writing channel. So the writing channel, I highly encourage you to invest in yourself. I do it the Cadillac way. There's a lot of people online making videos and stuff like that, and my peers who really have it down, like trimmed down to like, I pay this much, and this is my ROI, return on investment. And these people make really good money. They do really, really well. You could probably learn more from them and do better than you will learn from me. I'm just one side of the coin, but we're all doing the same thing. And you know what? I think they're trying to serve you as best as they can too. I just have different sensibilities. And what I've learned in life is all my sensibilities cost money. Like whatever I'm going to do, it's like, I can't help but find expensive things. And here's the funny thing. I'm a minimalist in life. I don't have a lot of stuff. Look at this garage. But like, okay, well, let's just say that the gym in the garage that Leo pointed out. I could go to Planet Fitness and pay $40, instead, no, I got to buy a bunch of dumbbells and weight bands, and I got to do a special course, and I'm drinking protein shakes, and all this kind of stuff. There is a cheaper way to do things, and it's not always the worst way. It's just I'm showing you what has worked for me. Yes, I'm the fun side of the coin. I'm like, did you ever see that sketch on what was that channel? What was that Fred Armistead show where they did Documentary Now? And then they had the chicken restaurant that was the best in the world, and it wasn't really any fun. And then the son left, and he formed like Pedro's Fun Restaurant. And the chicken wasn't as good, but it was really fun. And they had margaritas and Mexican music. That's me. I'm the margaritas and Mexican music guy. So Leatherbound Mysterion, yes, yeah, Chipperatti. We will Chipperattle. We will be doing that. I'm very excited about that. That will have the map. Let's do. I don't know. Want to do something wacky? Okay, I'll do a wacky thing real quick. I'll share with you. Stop the screen share for 1 second. For 1 second.
They're gonna screenshot it.
No. Oh, that's right. You're gonna.
If they screenshot it, don't share it.
If you're gonna screenshot it, don't share it. I will share the map. Now, I love drawing maps, and I'm really bad at it.
Okay.
Mike Corley is actually working on the good map right now.
Let me just say though, people watching after the fact though can completely like screenshot
Oh.
back and forth if they want. So I don't know. It's up to you, but you might not want to do that.
I love you guys.
Tell these
The Medusa's
people-
telling me not to do it.
Tell these people because they're your friends, they can DM you and you will send it to them privately.
No, I'm gonna do it.
Okay.
Let's do it. Well, it doesn't. Okay,
That's your fault.
here's the map for Mysterion for just half a second. Bloop. Got it? See it? Okay, there you go. Bloop. That's all. That's the map for Mysterion. Mike Corley's doing a way better map. That's just me, like some big giant special needs kid in, the Apple class where they teach you, Mac Paint. I don't even use Mac. So it can be quite a bit of money. I don't think this link that I have up here is valid. Does anybody have? I'm going to rewrite the link. And
I feel like Bubba had a question earlier. I don't know if
does anybody have a question that they want to come in and ask tonight, or should I just go play Wildlands Mercenaries?
you answer Bubba's question.
You make the call.
When do you start working on the title or series name?
When do I start working on the title or series name? That's a Bubba question. Okay, Bubba, I'll tell you. Hang on.
Usually
Okay.
pretty early on, right?
Yeah.
That's like one of the first.
Okay. If you want to come in and talk, exactly. John Tito. It's a Marine with a crayon map. I'm terrible. The Medusa, Leo, you're absolutely right. She counsels me on all my absolutely risky decisions. You like the amount of safety briefings I get from her before like any major decision or family meeting is like, that's like, we should record those and sell those because I mean,
But I let you make the
listen,
decisions, right?
I'm just a big stupid kid. That's me. Jay Canada, thank you for hanging out, man. I truly appreciate that. But that map will be in the leatherbound. It'll be in the regular edition too. The unfortunate thing is, like, if you listen on audio, and the audio is going to be great, you don't have the map. But I'll make a map and I'll put it on the new website that I'm building so that people can go over there and check it out as they listen. And I'll try to encourage that. But when we do the leatherbound edition, that map is going to be baller. So, and I love it. Like, even though it looks absolutely Marines with crayons, it's like, I love the layout. I got the spine of the mountains right. I love Tolkien. I don't like when you stand back and look at Tolkien's maps, his mountains are very like zony, and I don't like that.
Crow's here.
Is Crow here? I thought he gave up. I thought Crow gave up.
He gave you a super chat.
Oh, he gave me a super chat?
Hire for more maps.
Oh, okay.
You did it.
Are you for hire for more maps? Yes. I will do a map for Crow's secret fantasy project he's working on. And I'll do it in Microsoft Paint, and that'll give him a stroke because Microsoft is Crow's windmill, which he tilts at never endingly. It's true. I have a counseling session with the Medusa coming up. Hydration is always. Oh no! Are we going to be able to play Mercenaries later, or are you just done? Are you done? Are you done? Are you done for the night? Is it tacos? No tacos? Is it Mercenaries and taco? You told me we were going to play Mercenaries. So
Hey, old school MS Paint is still the bomb.
MS Paint is the bomb, and don't be mad at it because we all like the first time like we got our hands on a computer back in the 90s. You know, you didn't have any games or anything. You went right to like after Minesweeper, you're like, I'm gonna do some art, you know, and it was fun, man. MS Paint was baller. I made that map on MS Paint. And all I had to do was give away all my metric data to Bill Gates. But there I go. I made my fantasy map, but it cost me my digital soul. Bill Gates is the devil. Oh yeah, Sparky, that'd be fun. You should come on and show those. So you know, it's MS Paint was like an epileptic on an Etch-a-Sketch. It's true. It is true. But if you're a special needs kid like me, it's okay. Hey, are you going to be able to play Wildlands or?
He said I should be able to go.
Okay, because I'm living for that because I ate so much sushi today and I didn't do an evening workout. So either you're going to play Wildlands with me or I'm going to go back to the beach and throw myself in the water again.
John Tito asked earlier, how many degrees are you from Kevin Bacon? Do you know? I bet you know.
I know how many degrees I am from Kevin Bacon. Let's see. Who have I worked with? This is an easy one. Okay, so all I got to do is find who I worked with and when they worked with Kevin Bacon. So, who is the biggest person I worked with? Well, I worked with Rob Lowe one time.
Yeah. They work together, right?
I'm trying to think of when they did something together.
Let's look it up.
Oh, Christian Slater. I worked with Christian. Weren't they? What were they? What were Christian Slater and Kevin Bacon with? And then I worked. I don't care who I worked with anymore, but it used to be important.
Dr. Channing or something, right?
Oh yeah, I worked with Soccer Channing, right?
Yeah.
I worked with the President of the United States.
I have found one for you, but let me
Who?
Well, it says Murder in the First when I look up Kevin Bacon and
Rob Lowe.
and Christian Slater, but I don't.
Christian
know if
Slough.
that's- I don't know if
Okay.
that's true.
Yeah.
I gotta make sure they're both in.
Right.
But I keep seeing it, so I'm like,
Yeah.
let's.
So I'm what 1 degree away of separation
I
from
guess
Kevin
so, right?
Bacon.
Would that count?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it says they're both in it. Yep.
Yep. I'm 1 degree of separation away from Kevin
Sparky's
Bacon.
too.
2. That's nice. It's in the end, everybody knows Kevin Bacon. Tom KP, thank you for hanging out with us, man. Enjoy that tater soup. A little tater soup is my favorite. Some crackers and a little Tabasco sauce is the way to go. Well, I guess tonight's stream just basically turned into me telling you how much covers cost and why they're really important. And none of you want to come on and ask me a question. So it's hot. I need to drink some water. Is anybody going to come on and share their work with me, like in the next few weeks? September is going to be a little bit of a thin month for me because I have to do a GE event where we are launching Tony Moon's Roof Korean book, and I have to do that in person with Tony and Jason and Walt. And then I have to do 2 trips, family trips. So I'm going to try to do as many things as I can in September, but September is going to be a little thin soup. I do think we're reading in September Plumber Saves 2nd chapter, I think. So that'll be cool. But I really encourage all of you, like.
And John Tito said he's holding a baby, otherwise he'd be on. So maybe he wants to come on soon.
Okay, that's no worries. I really encourage. I love listening to what you guys are writing, and I think everybody else does too. So, like, maybe think about this week
That is, he'll have some chapter outlines done.
overcoming your objections to why you might not want to come on, and maybe just like maybe write something and come on and put it together. Start thinking about what you want to write, and we don't have to work prose like the actual book. We can work the pitch, which is going to be 5 lines. We can work the outline for you. I made this channel to help you guys write, and one of the reasons I made this channel, why I want to help you write, is I think this is my attack against AI and crappy people who are trying to listen. I'm a really big fan of Amazon. Thanks to God for Jeff Bezos making it so that I could take my books and put them up on there, because the way that publishing used to be, unless your dad was going to Pedo Island, you weren't getting published by Big Pub. It was all like an inbred thing, you had to go to an Ivy League school and just to write crap. And if they didn't like what you were writing, you weren't going to write their agenda. You weren't getting in. And the cool thing about Amazon is I was able to put something up, and I see an attack on Amazon now of AI and also grifters. And so I think all of you want to write. That's why you're watching this show. So I want to help you do really good. So just tell me what I need to help you do. But the one thing I can tell you is you need to do it. You need to write that story. You need to write that Space Marine story. You need to write that fantasy story. You need to write that murder mystery, and get over yourself. Like I've tried to tell you, you don't have to write the great American novel. You don't have to be best. Just tell who, what, why, when, and where. And people will buy that, and they'll be entertained by it, and you'll make some side money. And they won't go look at the shit on TikTok. And they won't go be mind controlled by Facebook. And they won't endlessly doom scroll or watch YouTube mind control, which this show is on. I always tell people, reading books will take you farther than a jet airplane ever will. And so take that shot. But you gotta get something down on paper. Just if you got an idea, come on and show me the idea. Show everybody, and let's help you with it. Let's break it down. Let's rebuild it. Let's make it tight. And maybe that inspires you to get chapter 1 done, and inspires you to get chapter 2 done. And before you know it, you've got a 30 chapter novel. And now you're shopping for that cover and that editor, and you're laying it out there, and you're a little stressed because you didn't have the $1,600 to blow. But then that day you hit publish, I'll tell you, when I put $1,600 down and I wrote The Old Man on the Wasteland, I put it up, and it only sold 2 copies the first month. I was pretty excited. 2 strangers bought it. And I think the first review I got was 4 stars. And someone was really nice. And that felt good. Now, last time I checked, I have 222,000 5-star reviews lifetime. It started with 1 4-star review where the person was really nice to me, and that encouraged me to go on. Okay, John T. Doe, you got that up. Why don't you come back on and when you're not holding a baby, or we'll figure it out, and you can read it. That would be really cool. Yeah, the AI stuff is gross. It's completely gross.
Leo's most recent one, I think he's saying you would enjoy showing where you talk about how to frame the climax battle in the near future, but I don't know.
How I try to write a climax battle in the near future?
Maybe look at it's worded.
I can't. Let's see.
It says I can show to talk about how to frame the climax battle in the near future.
Okay. Yeah, come on the show and you talk about, because I think you're working on that right now, Leo, and you talk about how to, frame a climax battle. I'll add whatever I've got, and I encourage the chat to do this or do that. But we can fight back against this AI. I'm working on developing the final format for the Mysterion series. And the thing that the people beta read it didn't see is the first thing I did is I went in there and put the people who helped me. And then the next thing I wrote is this book is 100% written by a human for humans. I think that's important going forward. I know that everybody's super gaga for AI right now. I don't think that's going to work out. No one gives you anything for free. Never, ever. If it's for free, you're the product. But I believe in humans, and I'm going to write book special needs kid, write book for humans. Make map with crayons. Fun, huh? Hey, Clutch, do you know how many times I use that? I use that almost in every book because that comes from The Lost Boy, and it's my favorite Kiefer Sutherland vampire line. And it's so perfect for almost every situation. Jim Totten, I want to know what your method of proofreading and self-editing is. Have to teach techniques for a college class and wanted your input. I can give that to you. First thing I do is I read it. I write it, and then I rewrite it. And then after I've rewritten it, I start handing it to my first line editor, which is the Medusa, and she corrects it. What I would say here is for you, like I've written a lot of books and I don't have the time to do it the way that I really think that it should be done. But in that second draft, you should then do a third draft, which I've basically mashed into the second draft. And the third draft, you should do what I call performing the novel. And performing the novel is you read the book like you're an audiobook narrator, and you even do all the voices, and you sound like a lunatic. But you will hear in that performing the novel edit, you will hear what isn't right. You will hear what is false. After those edits are done and I feel satisfied, I give it to my main editor and he goes through it. And I used to say 98% of everything he does and I just accept all changes. I probably take 99.8% now. And I'll leave he'll give me comments and what's changed, everything. Like I sometimes have to explain things to him. He was in the military. And I'll have to explain some stuff like that. Or sometimes I'll know something he doesn't know. I usually reserve two things that I won't change, that I'll fight him over. And I don't have to fight him, but I don't even know if I use those two things anymore. But if I got hired by a publishing house, I generally okay, give me all the edits, and then I'll hold back two that I'll fight him over. You don't want to be one of those writers who thinks you're so great that you can't be edited. That won't work for you if you're going to work for other people. That may work for you as an indie, but one of those steps that I talked about in what the cost of publishing a novel is that cost of that editor. And you can see on my latest book how expensive that was. And it was worth every penny. But right up there with the cover being one of the most important buy decisions that you're going to make for that novel and how critical it is, I would also tell you that one of the hardest, best things that you can do for that novel is to perform it. Get a locked closet, go sit in your truck, and perform that novel like it's an audiobook. Read it like you're Garrison Keillor or Kurt Vonnegut or Donald Sutherland or whoever your favorite narrator is that would read this kind of book, and then do the voices. You will hear the false notes. You will hear where you should be using contractions, where you're not using contractions. And guess what? A lot of people listen by audiobooks now, and they used to tell you in all the writing classes, don't use contractions. Absolutely use contractions. That's how people talk. And because books are spoken now on audiobooks, it's important that people feel like they're listening to a story from a human being. So, a lot of like Jason and I with Galaxy's Edge and Forgotten Ruin, we actually write those books for the audio audience. And that makes some different changes, but that's where the performance step really comes in. That performative method after the second edit just a third edit where you sit down and you perform that book, I 100% guarantee you your book will be 100 times better than it was before. All right, everybody, let's call it a night. I will be back next Tuesday. Thank you so much for coming out. I love seeing you guys, and I am really excited for what you guys are going to write, and you can do it. So let's give it a shot. Let's see what happens. Have a great evening.